Sing up, very loud. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, or so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose first lights and bright stars through the perilous time, o'er the grand cross we lost, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And Linda, fantastic. All right, before we start eating, just a reminder
Isaac,
that
what's up?
Arnie and his
Hungry?
crew are back there. They are still in Israel bond. They will be there throughout the entire breakfast and ceremony. So while we eat, you're more than welcome to join them in the back. Okay?
Isaac's the first one. He's so hungry. Go. Which one do you want, Isaac? Show me what you do when you're hungry, though.
Please, everyone rise.
We're doing the prayer for Israel. Amen.
Paula, Barbara's mother will lead us in this, will be in prayer for Israel in
Our Father in heaven, rock and redeemer of the people of Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide the leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. You may all be seated. If you could all pass.
Sam Freed, gentleman sitting on our dais. You are my favorite. He's not listening to me. Sam, Rabbi, he has listened to me. He is my favorite speaker. Let me tell you why he's my favorite speaker. There's no bio. I got one sentence. I don't have to read universities. I don't have to read things where the person went to. All I have is one sentence. So I thank you so much. First Sergeant, Israeli Defense Forces, paratrooper, served in Gaza. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce Sam Freed.
How's it going, everybody? Good afternoon. You should all know I actually landed from Israel. I was in Israel the last 10 days. I landed this morning, so honored to be here, truly. The way I usually start out my speeches is the following. I like to thank the people that I'm speaking to. The reason that I'm thanking you is probably not the reason that you think. The way that I view it is that the reason that I'm here standing here talking to you today is nothing short of a miracle. I shouldn't be here. I should be killed probably 10, 15, 20 times over based on everything that happened to me in the war. And it's really important for you guys to understand, and I know that it might feel like you guys aren't part of the war, aren't boots on the ground. However, it's essential for you guys to understand that the difference between a bullet hitting me right here and hitting right here is not my luck, it's not my merit, right? The difference between an RPG, many of the RPG shots my team and I, hitting us directly in the room in which we're in, and hitting a couple of feet to the right or left, it's not my merit, it's not my luck. What is it? It is your merit. It is your prayers. That is the difference between my life and my death, and my team's life and my team's death. So thank you very much. Your prayers, for your thoughts, we feel it every single day on the battlefield. So my name is Sam Freed. I'm from Queens, from Jamaica States, for those familiar. And I'm born and raised in New York, in America. My whole life I knew I wanted to join the IDF. At 9 years old, I was already telling my family I was going to join. And that was essentially my why growing up. And as I got older, growing up in a very Zionistic household, going to a Jewish day school, I went to Ramaz, for those who know what Ramaz is, in Manhattan. And eventually I go to college first based on my parents' requirement, get my college degree from Baruch. I studied finance, and 22 years old, and I decided to finally draft to the IDF. And I drafted in a pretty weird time because it was the very beginning of COVID. It was March of 2020. But nonetheless, I draft to the paratroopers, Tzanchanim, as they're called, the 890th Battalion. And I served in a whole bunch of different places in my service. In my regular service, I served in the north. I served a lot of Judea Samaria, doing missions there. But I served in one place in particular that I want to mention today. And that place is a place called Masha Erez. Masha Erez is a base situated geographically where the Mediterranean meets Gaza and Israel. Right? So think you're very much on the water. Why is this place very significant? Because on October 7th, which we'll get to shortly, unfortunately, every single soldier on that base was absolutely slaughtered. Not a single person survived. The Golani Brigade was at the base at the time, and those soldiers there were fighting in their boxers because they were sleeping in the middle of the night, and their vests, and they were slaughtered. So this is very personal, right? My team and I were there literally 2 years to the day before the events of October 7th on that base. But anyway, so also during my service, there was another really interesting event that was at the time the most important event in my life, and that was Mitzah Sholon al-Hamas, which is Operation Guardian of the Walls, which is in May of 21, for those who remember, where Hamas launched, it was actually PIJ, and Hamas launched 4,500 rockets into Israel over the span of 11 days. And so my team and I, we were very heavily involved. We thought we were going to go into Gaza, and that was going to be the war that this inevitably was. But we didn't end up going to Gaza. Instead, we did a lot of work in Judea Samaria, to the point that my battalion received the most outstanding battalion for our efforts in that period. So for me, that was that feeling of, actually saving lives. We're actually doing things that are super important, stopping the bad guys. So then I finished my service. I come home back to America. Like I said, I have a college degree under my belt. So I start working. I work for a bank. And I worked for a bank for about 8 months until Simchat Torah 2023. I'm at one of my friend's houses. We're in the city. I'm staying on the Upper East Side. And we're having a great time celebrating the holiday. And we don't get home until about 3 in the morning. Obviously, what was going on in Israel was already begun. I'm observant, and my friend is as well. So we didn't have our phones on us. We didn't know what was going on. And so we go to bed. At about 7 a.m., one of our friends who was with us, who was not observant, wakes us up and says, "Guys, Israel is at war." And mind you, the friend who I was staying with is also in the same unit as me. He and I served together. And our friend says, "Israel's at war." And you have to understand, for soldiers to hear people who aren't in the army say Israel's at war, you don't necessarily jump to believe that Israel's at war. Like I said, during my service, 4,500 rockets were shot into Israel, and we didn't go to war. Right? We didn't actually end up going into Gaza. So we thought, okay, what happened? Maybe a big attack, a couple of people were killed, maybe a bunch of other rockets were shot into Israel. It doesn't necessarily mean war. obviously this was completely every which way different. And you know, he puts it on the TV what's going on, and the second we hear civilian hostages, we know, okay, this is completely different every which way, and we need to get back to Israel. So we have a friend in the consulate, and we essentially go to the consul and we say, listen, we're lone soldiers, but we know a bunch of other people who are going to want to go and rejoin to fight. Right? This is the fight of our lives. And so the consul says to us, look, if you could get me a list of 100 Mickey Mouse on the wall, under the crib was tied 3 magazines for Kalashnikov, which is an AK-47, and a rifle on the bottom of the crib, tied to it. This is what we're fighting against, right? And I'm not saying every Palestinian is guilty. I'm by no means saying that. I'm saying in every single house that I personally went to, in the locations that I was, there was something. Whether it's a magazine, and by the way, by magazine I don't mean like a people's magazine, I mean a gun magazine, which is ammunition, right? Or there was a tunnel in the area, or there was a picture of a shaheed, which is a martyr, with the Hamas emblem on their fridge as a magnet. Every single location we went into. I want to share with you guys just a couple of quick anecdotes from my time in Gaza. Some miracles. There was one night that the way that it works is you take over certain buildings and you're there for an extended period. You might be there for a night, you might be there for 2, but this particular building we took over, we were only going to be there until the morning. And we made defense positions. It's a couple of story building. And my team and I, it's about 7 p.m. And mind you, there's no light in Gaza. And my team and I are sitting, we're just kind of getting ready for a little bit of rest. We're going to do changing the defense position every 4 to 5 minutes. But we're relaxing. I'm a sharpshooter. And so I'm switching my scope from my day scope to my night scope, which is pretty much you can just see at nighttime. And I remember as I'm putting my day scope into my bag, boom, first RPG hits the building. Everybody obviously dives to the ground. I remember seeing the explosion with my periphery. After that, 20 seconds later, another RPG strikes the other side of the building. 20 seconds after that, another RPG strikes the building. 20 seconds after that, another RPG. And in the middle of all of these 20 seconds, everybody's obviously in chaos. There's smoke coming into the building and everything. And intermittently, there's just AK-47 fire being shot at us from all directions. Mind you, we're obviously being ambushed. Our position is compromised. As a sharpshooter and as a commander of a squadron, my job is at this point to direct people who are ya'il, who are efficient in this type of conflict, get to the top floor and neutralize the threat, defend our position. And so I go with a couple of my friends, we go to the top floor. Me, another sharpshooter, a grenade launcher, and 2 machine gunners along with the lieutenant. We end up neutralizing 9 terrorists that night. Mind you, incidentally, Hamas put out a video specifically of them attacking us in this particular instance, where you can see my lieutenant in the video, where they do one of those red triangles, as they infamously have done. And they claim that they killed 4 IDF officers. Now, the miracle in the story, not a single one of us, despite about 4, maybe 5, I don't exactly remember, RPGs hitting us in this building, is you look at the way that this building was, is that you have the top floor, which is the defense position, you have our floor, which is the middle, and the first RPG struck right in between the 2, right? And this is a cornet, which is considered a very strong RPG for Hamas, right? It can penetrate a tank. So you have this gaping hole in the middle, and mind you, if this was about 5 feet above, 6 feet above, you're talking anybody in the defense position, which is 4 of us, all dead, wouldn't be able to find their bodies. If it was about 5, 6 feet below, I'm not here today speaking to you, nor 10 of my other teams. This kind of thing was happening all the time. We get up in the morning, by the time, we stayed up essentially the entire night, and by the morning, by sunrise, we see in the walls, just holes all over, random spots. And we're all thinking, how is it possible that only one of us was shot? And thank God he's like perfectly fine. Only one other person has a little bit of shrapnel, completely fine. It's incredible. Miracles like this were happening all the time. Another instance, I was just telling the rabbi to me that I will absolutely never forget. He said as follows. He said, Sam, war is one of the worst things in the entire world, but it isn't the worst thing. The worst thing in the entire world would be living our entire lives without ever finding anything worth fighting for. This, the continuity of the Jewish people, our ability to sit in a shul right now, in a synagogue, a Jewish place of worship. This is worth fighting for. Our ability to wear kippot on our head, our ability to be proud Jews, to visit Israel. Like I said, I just came from Israel today. This is worth fighting for, and we must fight. And we will continue to fight. Because the Jewish spirit will never, ever die. Thank you very much to Israel Bonds for bringing me in.
I'd like to introduce please be seated, Arnie Schweitzer from the Israel Bonds.
Thank our chairs, Ron Schwartz, Stu Spector, Bruce Hartman, and the committee for all your great work. And also congratulate Meredith Bernstein and Robin Stein Grantis, the honorees. Congregation Bethesda continues to be one of the longest running Israel Bonds events on Long Island, actually in New York City. And we want to thank you for that. Since October 7th, as Sam mentioned, it's a very different Jewish world. After 18 months now of unprecedented anti-Israel and anti-Semitic hate, the world is very different. Your investment in Israel Bonds helps almost every aspect of Israel's economy. Among Israel's many concerns and expenses that you may expect is rebuilding regions in the north and the south. There are many different types of investments. I hope you had a chance to look at the rate sheet when you came in. They're listed here on the rate sheet. There's a Jubilee bond, a Sabra bond, a Slutzah bond, all different options, different maturity lengths, and different minimum investments. The Slutzah bond, one of the more popular bonds, can be purchased for any amount between $100 and $2,500. And right now it's paying a very competitive 5.45% per year. You can buy any of our bonds online at israelbonds.com, or if you want to purchase it today with a personal check payable to State of Israel. You can buy a bond as a personal investment. You can buy a bond as a gift for a child or a grandchild. You can even buy a bond from an existing IRA. And finally, we have a double mitzvah program where you can buy a bond for your shul or for any charity of your choice, beginning at just $100 if you want to purchase. That's called a Shalom bond. If you don't have a check, or if you're not sure what you'd like to do, if you want to come back to the table afterwards, we'd be happy to help you and answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
If you're on the fence about buying a bond today, feel free to take an application home with you. Think about it, and if you decide to purchase a bond, you can mail it in. On the application form, it has our name, congregation, particular on the top. So we get the credit, not that who gets the credit matters, right? And for those of you that feel they want to make some kind of donation toward a bond, but don't want to purchase it on their own, we have a program here at the shul. It's a restricted account. It's called the Congregational Israel Bond. You can mail in a check for any amount you want to put it toward that, so that when we have enough money, we can purchase a Israel bond in the name of Congregation Bethesda. So if you want to avail yourself of that, please feel free to send the check in. Make sure you indicate it's for the Congregational Israel Bond, so it goes toward that. We have quite a few Israel bonds in our name, and we just keep reinvesting them as they come to it. With that, I'd like to call upon Rabbi Weisblum to make presentations to our honorees.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, awesome speaker. Thank you, everyone, for being here on this very emotional day. We have in our midst two unsung heroes. I'd like to call upon Dr. and Dr. Merri and Bobby. This is our kind of small token of appreciation for your, yes, in recognition of devoted commitment to Israel, the Jewish people and community. You're doing so much for our future generation and for our congregation. We are really, really appreciate that, and thank you so much on behalf of those who are here and others who are here in spirit. God bless you both. Thank you so much.
For this wonderful honor, Judaism has played an important role in my life. My parents moved to Wancho shortly after they were married and started their family. They quickly joined Wancho Jewish Center, where I went to nursery school, Hebrew school, and summer camp. After you were probably at my bar mitzvah. There I was taught Jewish customs and traditions, learned to read and write Hebrew, and about Israel. In high school, I was active in USY, and the summer before my senior year, went with a group from around the country on a 6-week trip to Israel. We toured Jerusalem, Eilat, the desert, Masada, the Dead Sea, and more. We spent a week with the Israeli army. We prayed at the hotel, spent the night in a Bedouin tent, and visited Yad Vashem. The trip was a beautiful experience that I will never forget. Judaism is an important part of my life, and I hope to instill these values in my children.
What makes this award even more special is that I get to share it with Merri. We first met at Camp Ramah in 1993 at a USY-run Jewish camp in the Berkshires. We were assigned to the same bunk, and the friendship and love for Judaism developed from there. Over the next 2 years, we attended USY events, dances, keenuses, which are Shabbats at other temples, and repeated summers at Camp Ramah. We formed friendships and bonds with fellow USYers that we both still have today. We then both ended up at SUNY Albany for college. When it was time to look for a preschool, Merri suggested the Doris Kramer Preschool here at CBT. We fell in love with it, and both my boys attended until it was time for kindergarten. A few years later, we joined CBT, and the boys started Hebrew school. Shortly afterwards, Merri approached me and said that we needed to revamp the junior congregation and make it more interactive and reminiscent of the USY services. So we did. The next year, she told me that we were going to lead the family services for the High Holy Days, so we did. We just held our second holiday, which happens to be my favorite activity. I've been asked over the years by many people, professionally and personally, why do you volunteer so much? Why don't you just let somebody else do it? Just say you can't do it. My answer usually is that I truly enjoy doing the activity, or I just can't say no. I thought about it at a deeper level, and I thought about the word tzedakah. This is a guiding principle, as we all know of Judaism, that I particularly connect to and aim to practice in my daily life. I first asked myself, what do I think about when I hear the word tzedakah? My first thought went to when I was in Hebrew school, and we were talking about the concrete purpose of a tzedakah box. We are to put money in the box and give it to the needy. The concept of tzedakah expanded during my first and only trip to Israel. I visited Israel in 1990 at 13 years old with my grandparents and their B'nai Zion group. The reason for the trip was twofold. The trip was planned in honor of my sister and I making our Benot mitzvah, most of you know that I'm a twin, and their B'nai Zion group was being honored with a room plaque dedication at B'nai Zion Medical Center, formerly Hadassah Hospital, in Haifa, for their chapters, it was Shelter Rock Jewish Center, fundraising efforts. I had falafel for the first time in Israel, stayed at a kibbutz, floated in the Dead Sea, learned about Israel's technology center, and so much more. I was able to see the far-reaching impact on tzedakah as it relates to medical care and the power of community. Over time, my understanding of tzedakah continued to deepen. I recently found 2 descriptions online that I'd like to share with all of you today. So much more than a financial transaction, tzedakah builds trusting relationships and includes contributions of time, effort, and insight. It's also about creating a society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. I love that. Without even realizing it, I was following these concepts of tzedakah. I began to reflect on the way I've lived my life to this point, the commitments I have made to the Hebrew school, my career, and volunteering on boards. On a side note, it has brought me overwhelming joy, I always cry, watching my sons, Avery and Corey, learn the Jewish customs and prayers. Thank you again for this special honor today.
This is the reason why I do this, not to honor the members of our congregation that deserve it, but also to do this for the state of Israel. It's not
Mazel tov.
how many bonds you buy, how many you invest, but today with probably just under $100,000 worth of purchases, which is a beautiful amount. Money is very happy with that. I know over the years we've raised various amounts of money. I'm excited to do this. I feel good doing this. I know I've been doing this with Bruce and Stu, probably since the late 20th century. So it's been a long time since we've been doing this. And I will continue to do this as long as I can, because it's something that makes me feel good that we're doing for the state of Israel. I want to thank my co-chair people, Bruce and Stu, for this. I'd like to thank everybody that came here today to support Merri and Robin. Thank you those that purchased bonds now or in years past, or maybe in future years. But that's what it's about, support for the state of Israel. With that, Men's Club wine. If anyone is here that may purchase Men's Club wine, Stu is here if you want to pick it up. Otherwise, you come tomorrow night at 6:15. But if you get there, you might as well pick it up. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here today. See you next year. We're not going to do this in the winter next year. In all the years that Stu and I and Bruce have been doing this past year was the only year it snowed, or they forecasted snow. But we will be doing this in the spring going forward. So again, Robin, Merri, thank you very much for everything you do for our shul. And have a rest of the day, a wonderful day, everyone else. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mazel tov.